3. Mortgages in Dubai and the UAE. All of your questions Warren and I are about to answer right now. It's been some time since I did my last video. Thank you so much for coming back, Warren.
You're welcome. Come out to be here.
So Warren has been working in the banks with mortgages for the last 18 years, right?
20 actually now.
20.
Yeah, 20, a long time.
So there is no one better than this gentleman sat right next to me to answer all of your questions about mortgages, whether it's for residents or non-residents. So I think we need to start with the latest news that appeared the last week or two about first-time buyers. Can they now buy property?
Yes, of course they can buy property. And the DLD have and certain banks have brought in certain incentives on costs and fees, basically. It is quite basic at the moment, but we're hoping this is going to develop into more of a theme, and the assistance will grow.
Okay, so really it's early days, and we're just waiting to see where this is going to align and who with, right?
Exactly.
Amazing. Thank you so much for clarifying that, because I know a lot of you are asking me about, first-time buyer loans. So let's now go to, we've got residents here and we've got non-residents. So a lot of you watching actually live overseas. So I think, that's such a major question you will have. So let's put it to you. What if I was a non-resident, so I don't, and that includes people with a golden visa because they're not a resident classified, right? So anyone with a golden visa or not living in Dubai, not a resident, can we borrow money from the banks, yes or no?
Yes, you can.
Absolutely. Okay, great.
I think just define the golden visa question. I think it's probably a good one to is the banks do sort of decide on the residency status, res or non-resident, by where your income is derived. Okay. So if you're a golden visa holder with income from the UAE, you're a resident. If you're a golden visa holder but your income is outside the UAE, you'd still be classed as a non-resident. But there are options available to both segments in the market. Not an issue. Typically, the banks will end up to 65% for non-residents.
That's good, because it was 60%.
Yeah, exactly.
So has that just changed?
Recent increase in the last few weeks. Yeah.
Amazing.
So
good news.
So which is right. It's a big part of the market. And the banks are more and more banks are getting involved in this because they know it's a segment that needs servicing more and more.
Well, there's so many people that want to buy here. With the market in the the appreciation it's going. We've got so many more people asking, so I think it's only essential that they do something. Okay, so up to 65%. My other question, what about interest rates? What are we looking at if you're a non-resident borrowing?
Interest rates can swing sort of between 4.99 and 6%, depending on your situation, whether it be salaried, self-employed. Are we looking at a low document application or a full document application?
Right.
We can quickly define with a quick email or call what the pricing points will be.
So you can do like a verbal approval, within an hour or two?
We can give an overview on what would be available based on the client selling it. But obviously the banks themselves do their own due diligence and credit searches in certain cases to define.
Okay, great. So my other question is, what is the timeline? So imagine somebody is wanting to buy a property with me right now, but they now need to come and get approval for the mortgage. So, I always say to people, don't look at the house until they've got the approval from you. What's your timeline for getting the approval?
Absolutely. I mean, typically, a non-resident case will take between 3 and 4 weeks to get to the approval stage.
Before we can even put down a deposit on a house.
I mean, obviously there are ways you can put down a deposit to protect you, but the sellers are really tough in the market. And to avoid disappointment, we advise clients to do this in advance. And
we can put, obviously you mentioned to me earlier, we can put a subject to the evaluation and the pre-approval coming through, but it really just depends on how you see that particular scenario of that client, right?
It's down to the seller, really.
Yes.
It's putting your best foot forward. So, if you come prepared, ready to buy, you're going to be in a better position than arriving and starting. Because as I, sellers are controlling the sort of push of things at the moment. So if you're not approved and the next buyer is, you're going to be
And also, just for those of you watching here, to purchase a property as a cash buyer, you can be done from start to finish in as quick as 14 days. For a mortgage purchase, generally, we would say it's up to 60 days. And we need to make sure that you've obviously got an approval from Warren and the banks before we enter into that agreement, unless we put in that clause. Now, personally, I've always been able to put in the clauses with sellers if we know that it's a straightforward process with our buyers. but there's always some, outside cases where we're not. So best thing is get your approval first, and it doesn't cost them anything, right?
It doesn't cost
It's
anything
free.
There's only one option where there's a cost, but it's a minimal cost. It can be done remotely.
Okay.
You don't have to be here for that kind of aspect. And then when you arrive to look at the actual properties, you're good to go, you're ready. You're in a position to move.
And actually, you just touched on another point I want to bring in. So, would they need to come here in person at some stage as a non-resident for any of the mortgage paperwork?
Yes, you would. Unfortunately, at the end of the process, the actual signing of the mortgage offers, there might be a medical involved depending on the size of the loan as well.
Okay.
Has to be in the UAE.
Yeah.
So we manage
that's
that.
the one time.
Exactly. We manage that for clients.
Yeah.
It can be different between client to client, bank to bank, how long that they would need to be here.
Right.
But we can make everyone aware of that well in advance.
Okay.
So,
yeah. I mean, so just from you watching this video, whether you're getting a mortgage or not, you don't normally need to be here in person because the whole purchase can be done remote, and we have power of attorney lawyers to represent you. However, as a non-resident, you would need to have this particular document signed and be here in person. So that's once in the whole process, and it's not on day one, it's approximately day 40, day 50, right? So it's nearer towards the end. And as your realtor, we would always give you warning and manage your expectations on timeline. Okay, so we finished on the non-residents. Now we'll go to residents. So residents, obviously you live here, you have a salaried income in the UAE. Is that the right definition for you?
Yeah, obviously the banks will lend to salaried and self-employed clients.
Okay. Yeah.
If it's your first property, the banks can lend up to, or your only property at that time, up to 80%.
Okay.
Up to a 5 million purchase price.
Yep.
Above 5 million, it drops down to 70.
Right.
Any second mortgage, then you're going to it's going to be 60%.
Right. Okay. So 80%. That's great for a resident, and then 60 for any subsequent properties. Okay. And while we're just on the subject, what would be the interest rates for residents?
Rates are pretty good. There's options down to as low as 3.8ish.
Yeah.
With a salary transfer, without a salary transfer, typically you'll be looking at 4.3.
Okay.
Fixed for 3 years to 5 years.
Excellent. And what about age group? Up to what age can you get a loan?
Salaried.
Okay. Right.
70 if you're self-employed.
Okay.
There are some caveats where we can get 70 for salaried clients as well if they don't have any mandatory retirement age with their employment as well.
Amazing. So I think my only other question is, if you are buying an off-plan property, can you borrow money on launch?
You can't borrow on launch.
Yeah.
There is now new options whereby you can actually lock in finance with a contract at the 30% paid stage.
30% of the payment plan.
Now, we can, and we do for clients though, sometimes, to give them some reassurance, we can get, before they commit to the first purchase, we can get them a pre-approval, a generic pre-approval, so they know when it comes to 30, we can lock it in properly. And
so we couldn't do that before, could we? We couldn't get any documentation to lock in?
Typically, we would need to go to at least 50% paid, which could be 2 years down the line from launch.
And you just want that comfort factor, don't you?
This is much better now. So
that's
typically
great.
within hopefully a few months, it can be arranged. That's locked in regardless.
Okay. But no matter what, you always have to pay 50% of the original price yourself first.
Before the banks will kick in.
Yeah, no matter what. So if a property is at 8 million and obviously 4 million is 50%, you will have had to have put 50% of that. So 4 million down before the bank's money kicks in. Yeah. Okay.
Which is a central bank regulation, all the banks have to adhere to the same.
Okay. So I just have a couple of scenarios of examples. So let's give an example. I have, for example, a client where she lives here as a resident and she is earning a UAE salary. He is offshore, overseas, but his salary comes here. So is he considered a resident or a non-resident?
Initial thoughts?
Yes.
He was non-resident.
So then he's going to only be able to borrow the non-resident quota.
If we're using any of that client's salary, technically the banks will create it and we'll treat it as a non-resident.
Yeah.
But there are caveats.
Right.
There's a lot of expats that have the families here,
Yeah.
work in Saudi now, big booming economy going there.
Yes.
They might have a golden visa from previous property they bought here.
Okay.
And in those cases,
Yes.
we're managing to get a blend of things. So it's
Right.
really about
Case by case
individual,
scenario,
yeah,
really.
absolutely.
Okay. And then just going further with that example, imagine, does this couple have to be married to have a mortgage together?
Absolutely.
Okay,
At the
right.
moment,
Yeah.
all the banks insist on joint applicants being married.
Okay, joint applicants.
Even
right.
though that's no longer
Yeah.
central bank regulation or anything
Right.
like that, the banks haven't
interesting.
opened up to that yet.
Okay. Okay, great. I think that's probably it. Were there any other questions that you get asked that you want to just highlight here in this video for our viewers from all over the world?
I think
Yeah.
the new DLD one is a big one.
Yes.
I think the way to look at it now is yes, there's some marginal advantages at the moment,
Yeah.
but watch this space, it's going to
Yeah.
change.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Warren. And obviously we're here, so our details are in the description below this video. So get in touch and I'll put you in touch with Warren. And we're here to help you with your next property purchase, whether you're a resident or a non-resident. Take care and
Bye-bye.
see you soon. Take care.